Reading of the book as I think. Continuity in existence. The continuity present is the future. Tomorrow is decided not only by the mere yesterday, but yesterday as reenacted by the incidents of today. We live conditioned by time. If it is the past that is meeting the present, we who are the enjoyers and sufferers in the present are nothing but the products of the past. Past lingering in us as memories is that which gets in the present vicissitudes of life. And it is this product of the past, molded in the present, that will face the future and shape it for us. The present is the meeting point of two streams, the past and future. Each immediate moment is at once the tomb of the last moment and the womb of the moment that is yet to be. The tomb of the past is also the womb of the future, and this womb is the present. With reference to the past, the present is fulfillment, but not a culmination. With reference to the future, the present is not a helpless editing, but it is a deliberate beginning. Naturally, the present is the only capital available for us in life, and it is to be invested intelligently so that the future may bring forth sufficient profit. This continuity of time, which is the sole web that holds together the innumerable happenings in life, is generally overlooked by the unintelligent. They protest against the meaningless confusion around and wonder what can be the purpose of life. To realize that way of continuity is to understand the deeper meaning and the poetic significance of life. Existence is not a strife to the intelligent. To the vulgar, the day-to-day life is purposeless, moving from confusion to confusion, to reach nowhere but to get knocked about until chance drowns them beneath the surface of manifested existence. It is to amplify this harmony, this melody that throbs so silently and significantly beneath the welter of life that we have in our philosophy, the detailed expositions of what they term as the law of karma. If the above is properly understood and its implications that there is a continuity in existence are subjectively appreciated by one, then to him fate, luck or chance are empty words with no threats. Nothing happens in life without a cause. Everything that happens in life may not directly reveal for us the exact cause. At some places, the stream of causation wanders into a thousand parallel threads, and the fatigued intellect of man ignores them all, and then comes to attribute the given effect as arising from luck or chance. In the light of what we have so far explored, the present age and its problems are not the destiny of our generation. but they are the ugly byproducts thrown up from our own wrong thoughts, foul motives, false actions, and thoughtless misdeeds. This cumulative effect of the past is the present. To meet it properly will be the intelligent scheme of creating a happier and peaceful future. The art of correctly and efficiently meeting the present without being prejudiced by the past is the art of living called religion. To renounce our unnecessary fears of the future is true renunciation, tyaga, and to keep ourselves away from the influence of the past is the real detachment, sannyasa. An individual who has thus a true detachment and renunciation is the best seeker, who alone can face the present with godly perfection and divine efficiency. All techniques of living which contribute towards such a healthy way of life are called the paths of religion. Chapter 16. Catch them young. In horticulture, creepers are trained to grow and spread themselves in the required direction and slowly fill up the given trees by the intelligent gardener. The young seedlings grow in the direction in which the gardener guides them, and ere long the dream vision of the gardener is fulfilled in all details by the steadily growing plants. A sculptor with the vision of beauty works steadily on a piece of stone and carefully chips off bit by bit the rough granite masses that are concealing the beauty, proportion, and harmony of the form that he had conceived in his mind and had actually visualized in the stone. Finally, the speaking from form emerges out to smile on the onlooker. The inner stone comes to life under the chisel and hammer of the artist. A little pup of an intelligent breed is selected by the trainer. It is slowly trained to accomplish intelligent acts of service to mankind. Later on, the trained dog unearths crimes which were riddles to the more intelligent and organized police. In short, faculties that lie dormant in creatures can be brought out into their full brilliance and efficiency when properly cultivated and intelligently trained. It has become one of the most modern fashions in our society to blame the growing generation and to accuse the youth of the country for their lack of discipline and of faith in the higher and nobler values of life. If among the intelligent and the educated we watch an almost complete breakdown of character, it is the nation's cultural bankruptcy at this moment that is the cause of it. Ancient history of the world and its various cultural units, if studied detachedly, point to us the remedy for this inward shattering. There is yet nothing to despair. Our cultural revival plan must have necessarily a minimum of three schemes. Schemes to revive the manhood, the womanhood, and the childhood. Men and women are taken up for re-education and rehabilitation together and separately in our missions, study groups, and in our daily groups. The children are being trained in many of our branches all over the country by the mission members, especially by the members of the daily groups at our various chinmayananda vihars. Children of today are the inheritors of tomorrow, and the future world is to be guided on proper lines by the growing children of today. Unless we train them properly to take up the great responsibility, they too shall fail as our fathers has failed and many of us are failing today. More than 100 centers are training the children, and during my recent wanderings, I had met almost all of them, and was extremely happy not only in watching the progress of the little ones, but also in noticing the amazement and wonder of the neighbors and sometimes of the very trainers who are training them at the development the children register in an incredibly short time. The development and growth in their general enthusiasm, mental habits, intellectual efficiency, and physical discipline could have been staggeringly spectacular if only we could have these little ones a healthier school atmosphere and a more satisfactory home environment. But these two are not now as they should be. That, in spite of these hurdles, they have come up so beautifully, well disciplined at all levels, is a fact which declares the intrinsic cultural stamina in the Hindu race. This sort of a national rebuilding program may sound today as a far off cry, but when the world emerges out of its own day's wilderness, it shall, in saner eras that are yet to come, learn to see the necessity of adopting these intelligent methods. We can bring together children from the various centers and give them the chance of celebrating a family reunion. If children are thus brought together to live in the company of each other, I, for one, feel confident that a better mutual understanding and love based upon mutual appreciation can be discovered in their hearts. Upon such a sacred personality, strength, cultural brotherhood, and spiritual companionship, alone can a saner world be built and a more harmonious culture for our country be evolved. Parents and elders will help perhaps be witnessing the early beginnings of the new Bharat that we are planning for the glory of the future times to come. Chapter 17, Communalism. In the past, the entire wealth of the country was dedicated to the temples, it seems, and the kings, as its chosen trustees, made use of it for the state. The total land area was divided under two categories: that which belonged to the state, Brahmaswam, and that which belonged to the temple, Devaswam. The former was enjoyed freely by the society as proprietors, while the latter was, as it were, the reserve fund of the government. Out of the total income, a fixed portion was spent for the maintenance of the temples. These were organizations that patronized, nourished, and nurtured not only the ritualistic part of religion, but also all art, science, and philosophy in our country. There are instances recorded in our scriptures which supply ample evidence to show that the reserve funds so accumulated in the temples were made use of to mitigate the dire needs of the society. Floods, famines, construction of tanks and wells, rest houses and temples and so on. But these funds were replenished from time to time not only by the devotees. Whenever in prosperous years they had more than what was necessary for them, but they were also fattened by the Rajas when they returned victoriously from the wars. No doubt in those days, since the pressure of population on the land was not so heavy and since men were generally more healthy than they are at present, social welfare activities at the present day scale were not undertaken. There was no collaborative need for them in the society, nor was the government so complicated a machinery as it is today. And in the decentralized pattern of government in the joyous days of the ancient times, there was very little need for the extra fund each year for the state. Rivers were full, rains were within the vagaries of season almost regular, problems of flood and erosion of soil had not necessitated pumping and artificial manuring. These are all products of the modern indiscriminate material vandalism in social and political life. Forests were thick and demands of the society on the forest were almost insignificant. The threat of our present day problems was not at all present in those more ample eras of cultural life and serene thinking. But the materialistic values of our days have destroyed man's concept of life. He has lost his control upon himself and unintelligent self-building has created a population problem which in its way has brought about more and more complication in our day-to-day life. No doubt, man will not easily yield himself to the problem. He creates defensive barricades to protect himself. He made these by the sheer strength of his intellect, and this materialistic era of large scale industries and worldwide commerce has hauled up the society from its dire sorrows and restless despairs into the scorching fields of artificial fatigues and desperate suffering. Moving in the same direction and pursuing the same follies. The world civilization, in the name of solving the problems, has been progressing, is it progress? From knowledge to knowledge until at last we have ushered in an era of science, essentially boxed with its essential lust for power and anxiety for money, greed for acquisition and hoarding of a large share of wealth by private individuals until at last the world has come to be divided into two groups, a few haves and the voiceless millions who in utter ignorance and despair live in an impossible poverty and shameless squalor. The beginning of the 20th century was a revolt of the have-nots against the haves, and their successes have changed the entire viewpoint of politicians, economists, scientists, and nay, even of the average man on the street. In this charged light of politics and economics, social problems and communal disturbances, national and international restlessness, concepts of morality, ethics, goodness, self-control, and the likes have all been painfully perverted. This age of planning and of welfare state is now looking, especially in India, for capital to invest in their schemes. They find a lot of idle wealth in the temples and mathas, and there is a move now to bring this capital under control and employ it for the national use. I personally feel that religion has no right to protest against this confiscation of property and wealth if the society demands them. It is the wealth of the country, and if the country needs it, religion shall surrender it, as religion is only a trustee of that wealth. But the way in which our modern leaders address themselves to this task is rather unintelligent. It is against their approach that there have been protests, and we hear ineffectual grumblings and stifled protests from some quarters. No doubt the wealth of the temples should be used for the reconsolidation of culture, art, literature, and such other creative activities. But if the society, as the owners of the wealth, were to demand its utilization in any other way which is, according to them, most conducive, they have every right to have it. But the question is the temple wealth alone that is to be harnessed for the national development? When the nation develops, are not all people belonging to all creeds and religions who are also our brethren, the recipients of the resulting prosperity? Should not a secular government, who should have no preference into any religion, impartially draw a share of the reserved funds of the churches and mosques? Devotees who have contributed to such institutions have also done so as reserved funds for the benefit of the nation. But this theme seems to be a taboo since it smacks of communalism. Behind the shadow of a mere word, we cannot afford to escape from and close our eyes to the fundamental facts. If the government were to do such a discriminatory confiscation, it would certainly be unfair, and in the long run they will leave bad feelings in the hearts of a large number of people. Intelligent people will read in it only the weakness of the government, who dare not face troops more militant in temperament and better organized. I still believe that all the wealth that lies in reserve and that is accumulated in mathas, ashramas, and temples and at such other religious institutions belong to the society. Mahatmas of mathas, Panditas of temples, priests of churches, and Maulavis of mosques have no proprietary right over them. But if our government, vociferously secular, were to pass a bill discriminating one institution as against the other, there will soon be justification for all honest members of the aggrieved community to feel unhappy at this revolting partiality. No amount of arguments based on high ideals and tolerance and so on can efficiently efface the feeling that the government is doing an outrageous injustice against Hinduism, the creed of the soil, and is weakly hesitating to face the better organized and the more militant communities. Is it not breeding communism? Chapter 18, Gurudev Tapovan Maharaj. The infinite reality is ever one, and as such it is all pervading. The matter envelopments floating as it were in the spirit express themselves as sentient, just as an iron piece in contact with the fire gathers to itself the golden color and the heart of the fire, heat of the fire. Spirit, identifying with matter, plays on the world stages as a distinct entity having its own biological urges, emotional demands, and intellectual restlessness. An accomplished yogi is one who has ended his contact with these inert matter assemblages and has regained his native glow as the pure infinite consciousness. Buddha. After serving the world for a time, rehabilitating man and his society into a more harmonious and beneficial life pattern, the equipment of expression around him withers away and he, the infinite, exists. As a spirit, he expresses thereafter through all functioning in the entire universe. Sri Gurudev Swami Tapovan was a saint of the highest order of true divine vision. To try to manifest such a masterly mind through our life would be the greatest monument for all such saints. Kavas, mandiras, tombs and shivalingas have become still representations of the formalistic religion which has no more light to guide, no message to inspire, nor any dynamism to lead our generations. Let us not bottle this wonderful spirit of Tapovan in stone caskets and bury his spirit forever. The pillars of his victory over matter shall be raised in the heart of each one of us. Let us try hard to build a temple of purity in our bosoms and capture within at least a ray of his effulgence for our constant adoration. Sadhana is the technique by which alone such a sacred inner temple can be built by each one of us within us. The times are such that the hurry of our routine duties, especially in towns and cities, is so maddening that individual sadhana has become almost an impracticable proposition. The best that we can do would be communal attempts and congregational efforts. I have been observing that the members of the mission in all our 500 and odd branches are getting contact with the great goal much better than the thousands who are away from the pole, struggling independently in their individual attempts. I am more than convinced now of the need for congregational prayers of the communal worship. This seems to be the only answer for the dangerously irreligious scheme of things around us. Chapter 19, Detachment. Vedanta is a religion of detachment. To detach ourselves from that which is false and transitory and to attach ourselves to what is real and enduring is the way and the goal in Vedanta. No compromise in this process is ever possible. To that extent, we have successfully detached. To that extent, we have emerged out of the pangs and pains of existence and proportionately we have entered into a state of peace and tranquility. Detachment should not be understood as running away from the things or situations in life. This we can never do. That an escapist is never a champion in the spiritual path as a fact is a fact. Ignorant of this idea, many have wrecked their spiritual unfoldment by merely getting away from the sense objects and comforts. Detachment is an intelligent attitude of life and environment. We cannot avoid the world. The world will impinge upon us whether we wish it or not. We have to be in the world so long as we live in our present plane of consciousness. There is no escape from perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. Detachment is a mental attitude intelligently maintained by the seeker towards objects and beings around him in life. Mere understanding of the pain-ridden nature of the finite world is not sufficient at all. This understanding must get completely assimilated by the individual's personality through constant thinking and continuous realization. Through intelligent experiments full of awareness in our own life, we can build up an ever increasing experience that detachment pays a high dividend. The knowledge so gained and the conviction so gathered as a result of our own personal experience are what I mean by the term continuous realization. In fact, the objects and beings that constitute the world in themselves cannot and will not bring any storm into us. The shattering shocks in life of not only the tragic events that happen now and then, but even the day-to-day pinpricks of life are all received by us only because we make wrong contacts with the world around us. Our reactions to the environment around us will depend upon our mental evaluations of it and our inner nature at that particular given moment. If our inward nature can be so arranged and continuously held in that arrangement so as to make us respond to the world always positively, then we have discovered the secret of living in peace with the world, perfectly independent of the pattern of happenings around us. This arrangement in one's inner nature is called detachment, and a personality that has developed detachment becomes a non-conductor of the shocks in life. Such a person is ever tranquil, ever efficiently intelligent, peacefully serene at all occasions and in all situations. This glorious spirit of detachment cannot be practiced in a sequestered place where there are no temptations and no bothersome challenges around. No one can learn swimming on the dry banks of a river. One must live in this world and while living fully and enthusiastically learn the art of doing so in a spirit of intelligent detachment. In Vedanta, this is called Asparsha Yoga. The pangs and disappointments reach our bosom only because of our attachment, sparsha, and we are now living a life of sparsha yoga. Read the Upanishads and the Gita carefully and slowly. giving a lot of your original thinking to it. Read the discourses and commentaries upon them, not merely to accept them but to excite your thinking and independent re-evaluation from new angles of observation. It is possible for every one of us to realize the futility of our present way of life and the fallacies in our present evaluation of things. When once this new view of life comes to your inner life, please never accept it in toto and start implementing it in your everyday life immediately. Try to experiment this newly found understanding in limited instances, in selected situations, in determined relationships. Within a very short time, every intelligent student will thus come to discover that by detachment we do not lose anything, but on the other hand, we enter each day into an ampler field of fuller joys and deeper peace. Detach, 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 and leave. Attach, 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 and die seems to be the cry of all scriptures, the sigh of all texts, the roar of all prophets, and the song of all masters.